Greetings and welcome to an Equity.Guru investor roundtable, a very exciting and volatile Equity.Guru edition today, but it's more of a triangle because I live down here in the basement, and the guy that lives down here in the basement apparently got arrested because he's
Yeah,
not
lights are out.
finally,
He's been evicted. He's been evicted.
finally got thrown out. Galen is directly above me, and he's the one who tipped him off, by the way.
Well, you know.
And Michelle says a far corner. We're talking about gold. Holy mackerel, gold.
Yep.
It's been a wacky one.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the sector in general. We're going to talk about Gold Mountain. We're going to talk about Ascot Resources, Blue Lagoon Resources, and Sabre Gold Mines. But we'll get to that in a bit. First, the sector and a tee up for Mr. Galen.
Hey, so basically today's theme in terms of who we're going to be talking about are near-term producers, because typically we discuss very early stage explorers. So this is a whole different game. This is where you're near to revenue generation, and it's really exciting. But the reason this is really exciting is, one, we're getting production back in BC, which is kind of cool. And then also with the Fed's announcement, and everybody else has sort of been backtracking going, well, you know, things are going to be all right. We'll just change how we calculate CPI. But the Fed has finally went, you know what? We got to face the music somehow. So three rate changes expected in 2022 and another three in 2023, with them expecting to get to 1%. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot higher. I think that was just them trying not to scare people. So gold then, as being an asset, becomes a very interesting prospect. We've already toyed with Bitcoin, but we already know what's happening with that now. Ethereum is slowly on the slide down, and even Elon Musk can't seem to bolster a Dogecoin. So what we have now is the real world, and the real world is gold. The popular scientific data behind that is that from the beginning of time, when we were recording how much we've been pulling out of the ground, it's been 3 Olympic-sized pools worth of gold. That's it. That's it. There's a finite resource, and there's scarcity, very definitely, and it's becoming harder and harder to mine. So this is becoming something that people are now understanding as being a risk-off, correct, asset, right, Vishal?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yes.
Risk on is when, risk off is correct.
Absolutely.
Gold and bonds.
So we're trying to find safety. And this is the good standard haven that's existed since the dawn of time and will continue to exist despite what people that buy and sell NFTs will want to tell you. Mm-hmm. Gold has been a very interesting proposition over a long period of time. Bitcoin has risen about 5,800% in the last 2 years, which for me is a huge sign that it's too volatile and completely unsustainable in its valuation growth, and just to keep its valuation entirely. Gold, however, over the 20-year stretch or the 30-year stretch is a 580% return. Now, this is because it's attached to the real world. This is attached to performance. This is attached to GDP. This is something that doesn't necessarily just skyrocket just because it feels like it. There is a need and necessity, sorry, that's redundant, for it to achieve the values that it has right now. So you may look at gold over the last year or so and say, you know what, it's not doing that well. It went to 1,800, then it dropped down. It's like 17. Is it just going to keep farting around? Well, if you back off that chart and you take a look at the 30-year chart, it has been nothing but a steady, rather inclined trend. It is and will continue to be such, despite, as I said, what so technophiles and Musk sycophants will want to tell you.
But it's a pet rock, Galen.
Yeah, it's a pet rock that you can buy things with and build stuff out of. You know, and it is attached to other precious metals and other base metals in terms of usability and real world presence. So it's pretty exciting time. Wouldn't you agree, Vishal?
I mean, maybe I'm a bit biased. I think some of our viewers and readers know that. But, there was a book that came out just a few weeks ago by Ray Dalio. If you don't trust, say, Galen or I, or if you don't think our knowledge on gold is, we're too bullish, trust some of these billionaires like Drunken Miller and Dalio, who've been basically saying what we've been saying for months to years on Equity.Guru, that, hey, look, you don't really want to be in government bonds anymore. I mean, it's not necessary. I mean, it's considered safety because governments can always tax people and then pay back the debt, but it's not yielding very much, right? Like rates are low, and Dalio's been saying, hey, if these central banks are in trouble because of inflation, and we should probably mention that gold is generally seen as that inflation hedge, then why would you be holding bonds? You probably want to hold gold because not only is it a better safe haven, but it's the best currency. And I think that's the interesting thing that Dalio and some of these billionaires are saying, that it's actually money, right? Gold is money, and some people say that that's what the gold bugs have been saying for quite some time, and we were crazy. But now you're having actual billionaire fund managers saying that, hey, funds should maybe allocate 5% of their portfolios in gold because it's the best safe haven. And if things get a bit crazy with the central banks because of this free floating currency system, golds might be what you want to hold, because maybe the fiat currencies that we own start moving as volatile as crypto if central banks have their way going forward. And just as Gillen said today, big day, Fed basically increased their taper. They are now looking at increasing interest rates. This is the dot plot, which you guys will read about today because the video is coming out on Thursday, so you'll see me go in more depth in market moment this morning. But essentially, the Fed is looking at 3 rate hikes up to 1% by the end of 2022, and then you can sort of see the dot plot and how many Fed members voted or where the percentages will be. And it comes down to the question now, is the Fed doing this because they believe the economy has recovered, or are they doing this, as Galen mentioned, because they're trying to get ahead of that inflation narrative, right? Even though the Fed is saying inflation is here due to supply and demand changes, a lot of people are thinking the inflation is here because of the money printing, which is technically the official definition of inflation, right? Like a weaker currency, and it's usually because of the money printing. And then, yes, you can bring in money velocity and such, and that's a debate, ongoing between Cathie Wood versus, I guess, Jack Dorsey. But they didn't mention anything about the money printing. And I know in the past Powell and other central bankers have said, no, printing tons of money doesn't actually matter anymore. But if you're a contrarian, like a lot of these gold guys are, but like I said, Ray Dalio as well, then gold is where you want to be, right? I would say gold and other commodities, and we've been seeing, other commodities rise in tandem as well, right? It's been a really good a really good year for commodities in general as a whole. But I think gold and silver as well, which we're also really big fans of, are sort of the two better inflation sort of stories. And it's like an opportune time, I think, to talk about gold given where gold is, but we'll get to the charts in just a minute. I want to just go back to this article I wrote about, well, it was this year, back in April, but essentially breaking down how I invest in gold and silver. And I have this chart here that I created, and I have 3 gold type of assets. We have our GLD ETF, so you can think of that as, paper contracts, I guess. You have your royalty and streamers, which we'll get to in a bit. And then you have, your mining operators. So for your royalty and streamers, we're talking about the big boys like your Franco Nevada and such, Globex Mining, Nomad Royalty, Sandstorm Gold. And then on the mining operator side, you have your guys like Barrick and what used to be Gold Corp, Newmont Mining, who actually mine the gold, produce it, mining operations, right? If you look at this chart that I have, if we talk about capital costs, your GLD ETF, it's just an ETF. There's not much capital cost there. Royalty streamers is probably the best business model like ever created. And then, you have your mining operators, which obviously have a lot of costs for energy and also for machinery and wages and such. Sorry, that was the operating cost. Capital costs, I guess, is the capital expenditures, but you sort of get my point, right? In the sense where the typical mining operator has much more costs than a royalty and streamer and the GLD paper contracts ETF. When it comes to leverage to gold price, when gold goes up, all the gold stocks will move up higher, right? So not just the ETF in general, but your junior miners, your royalty and streamers, your mining operators, all these companies that we have here, Gold Mountain, Ascot, Blue Lagoon, Sabre Gold, will all move up as long as the price of gold move up because they're leveraged to the price of gold. And then exploration and expansion, you're looking at your producers, your streamers, and your typical gold companies, because if they do find a big discovery, that's usually really good news. And we've seen mining stocks pop a few 100% in a day because they've discovered a new vein or they found a huge resource of gold. But of course, the tough thing is, trying to decide where that gold's going to be, because I've worked with geologists in the past who have told me that, hey, this project is the best, so much gold, but then essentially when they dig there, they find nothing. So it's sort of a gamble, I guess you can sort of say, but I like to think of it more of like a treasure hunt. It's exciting. You have to do your due diligence and do your work there. And then your dividend yield here, which obviously you get from your mining operators and streamers. But you guys can sort of see, royalty streamers is probably the way to go, because gold prices can move up, gold prices can move down, but your royalty and streamers are always producing catalysts. They're always paying a dividend. They're always having some sort of news come out, and they don't have to worry about the crazy, crazy capital cost that it takes to be a producer. So I just bring this up because we're at a point, we'll look at the charts. I'll let Galen say a few things here, but we're at a point where I think it's the opportune time to, put in your money. And just a spoiler, when we're talking about how much we're putting into our portfolio here, I'm going all in at this period here. But
Spoiler
you'll
alert.
see why when we talk
Spoiler
about
alert. Spoiler alert. So you just love the treasure hunt concept. I'm gonna blast the names out here, and Galen can make a quick comment, and then we'll go back to you for the charts.
Sure.
So we got 4 Vancouver-based companies here. We got Gold Mountain with CEO Kevin Smith. That's GMTN on the Toronto Exchange. You'll look at that chart. You'll also look at Ascot Resources under Derek White. That's AOT in the Toronto Exchange. Rana Vig is the man who runs Blue Lagoon Resources, BLLG on the Canadian Exchange. And Sabre Gold Mines, Julio T. Benefacio, I'm probably butchering his name, SGLD on the Toronto Exchange. Those are the 4 Vancouver-based companies. You'll look at the charts. Any of those get you excited, Galen, and also what Vishal had to say?
Absolutely, they do. Mostly because they are past the stage where it's someone standing in a hole going, "Hey guys, there's gold here." As Vishal said, it is a geological guessing game. There, you can do all the science in the world, and Mother Nature can still beat you. So it's also not just finding it, it's extracting it. There's another challenge that's in. So it really does require a very specific, highly honed set of skills to get in there, to find it, and then extract it, and then refine it and get it out to the public. And these companies have proven themselves to be able to get to a stage that many companies don't. They just fizzle out before it happens, or you find out that they're just generating money to keep the office lights on. So with Gold Mountain, they're operating in a friendly district. This would be British Columbia, Canada. British Columbia, Canada got ruined as a mining district when Imperial Mines tailings dam busted down and basically caused a huge environmental disaster in northern BC. And so government restrictions went into place, became a bit of a moratorium, and miners were sort of put to a standstill operating within the province. But of late, Gold Mountain is one of the first companies to obtain a mining permit to actually operate in the province of BC. BC has a huge heritage for gold mining. We had the Caribou Gold Rush up in the Golden Triangle back in the 1800s, which drew many, many thousands up from the California Gold Rush. We were part of that whole story. And we still, as a province, are very mineral rich. There's a lot of stuff to be had in the mountains, but now it's more or less location, and can you get the hell out of there? So Gold Mountain has its flagship Elk Gold Project, which it's been bringing to fruition over the last little while, and has managed in May of this year to increase its resources to just a little over 1 million ounces of gold equivalent in both measured and inferred, measured, indicated, and inferred. There's all 3 categories there, which provides a real opportunity for people that are wanting to get into a gold producer, because it's a high ratio. It's 5.5 6.8 grams per ton on the measured and then 5.4 on the inferred. Both of those are well above the 4 grams per ton, which makes it useful as an underground mine. Gone are the days where we're mining regular 25 grams per ton, which we used to do back in the 50s and back in the 1800s. Holy smokes, 50, 60 grams a ton.
There's maybe some of that in the Yukon, but it's hard to get to.
Very hard to get at. So this is the new world, but on that scale, this is a really good operation. It's got good people behind it, great government support, community support, and it looks pretty well like it's going to go ahead. This one's probably going to run. I would suggest taking a very careful look at it. Sabre, I keep on wanting to say saber tooth, but it's not saber tooth. I always want to say that. I don't know why. Sabre Gold operates in another mining friendly district in North America, with that being Arizona. Very easily to permit down there, very much supported by the government. And they have also their flagship being the Copperstone Gold Mine, which they're trying to put into production. They have, let me see. Here we go.
1.1 million.
Measured, yeah, they have a measured and indicated gold per gram, or gold gram per ton, there we go, of gold of 7.56, which is nothing to sneeze at, and 6.77, so fairly high grade. And yes, as Vishal was saying, over 1 million ounces there to be, well, yeah, over 1 million ounces on a property that's already historically produced about 500K. So we're well into the position of actually getting this up and running again. Now, I'm just trying to remember if this is the company or not. Let me just think here. No, it isn't. So that's another one to take a look at. They also have another project called the Brewery Project, but realistically, I'm focused on the Copperstone. I'm always focused on the flagships. I realize that the ancillary projects are neat and stuff, but until I see somebody really focusing on it, it's not that much of an importance to me.
And we've talked about this in the past. A lot of these companies with that one mine, they'll focus on it, get the revenue producing there, and then use that money to further explore and then develop the second.
Absolutely. So now we're going to go to Blue Lagoon Resources, which is operating again in BC, just a little bit outside of Smithers, the Dome Mountain Gold Project. Now this one has 15 known high-grade gold veins that they can access, and about 90% of the property is still unexplored, which gives a great potential. This company has, let me just see here, has great amount of money sunk into the infrastructure and the exploration of the site. It's near to transportation, electrical, water, all the stuff that you really need something to happen before you can actually get it to production. Now, is it these guys? Hold on, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit to see if these are the ones I'm thinking about. Yes, they are. Okay, they're trying to build a mine on the property, or a mill on the property. Let me just double check here.
A mill on their mining property.
Yeah, hold on 2 seconds, because I may be speaking out of school. I'm going to shut up now. That's Ascot.
It's all that stoned Flintstone watching. That's
see, that's it. There we go. Saber-tooth. I'll just repeat that again. Saber-tooth. Let's move on to Ascot before I make a complete ass of myself. Hey, do you like that? All right. So Ascot Resources also has a pretty good project going, and it has a Mines Act permit for the Premier Gold Project, and it's also got it's building its mill on property. Unfortunately, with this company, and it's not a bad thing, it's just a postponement of their timeline. The parts were coming by ship. The ship lost the parts in the middle of the ocean. So they're paid for with insurance. There's no money loss. It's just time loss. And so they won't be producing realistically until 2023. However, that's still on the horizon. They've got all lights are green. And it's an interesting project to take a look at. I'm going to let Vishal go deeper into this.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think out of all these companies, Gold Mountain is the more near term. I believe they said they wanted to start producing Q4 of this year. But from some of the comments I saw, I think from our mining expert, not Lucas.
Greg Nolan.
Greg Nolan. Right? But I think from what I saw there, it might be postponed till Q1 of 2022. But Gold Mountain is the more near-term producer out of the bunch. I think the more interesting thing about this, and we always talk about good jurisdiction, and obviously, we're giving you guys good jurisdictions here. I usually use the term, you don't want to invest in these AK-47 countries, but a few months ago, Galen and Rob, when we were doing these presentations, we didn't have too many BC companies that we were bullish on, right? Because permits were quite difficult. The environmental, permits were difficult. And then Gold Mountain came along, right? And then got that mining permit. And now look at this. Like, we have 3 BC companies here with permits from the mining, for mining permits here, getting ready to go. So we're seeing sort of this shift here. And I think it's because the governments here, they realize the huge economic potential, right, for resources. I mean, BC before real estate was built on resources, right? Mostly lumber, but I mean, there was gold as well, as Galen mentioned. And I find it quite fascinating that, we're talking about BC companies again being top picks in your mining portfolio. Because I remember, a few years ago, you'd go to these conferences here and people would rather have assets in West Africa than British Columbia at the time.
Never understood that.
Things are, yeah, I mean, it took a few,
Burkina Faso. Okay, good luck.
Yeah, fortunately, it took a few, deaths and
uprisings,
body armor, and that kind of stuff. And then people are like, hey, maybe it's not really worth it. Yeah. The gold's nice, but we have really good grade gold here in BC, and permits are coming out now, folks. So I think that's great. But where I'm excited is, as we said, these miners that we just brought to you, that we just presented to you, if gold moves up, these things are leveraged to the price of gold, and they'll do well altogether. So I have a few charts here. I'll go through them quite quickly here. I don't want to, I don't want to keep people focused on the charts too much here. But basically, where gold is right now, a huge zone, which was the 1750 zone. If I just scroll out here on my weekly chart, that was the big support I've been watching essentially for a month. I posted in a few market moment articles like, hey, look, we have a triangle pattern here on gold, but there is a chance with all the event risk with the Fed, with the end of the year, that we pull back to 1750. And as long as we hold above that, I am remaining bullish on gold. And today, take a look at where the buyers did step in. A very, very big wick here. I mean, this was all a red candle, folks. So it was looking quite ugly. But then after the Fed came out, did their thing, people are like, oh, okay, let's hold some gold because I think the Fed might be worried about inflation. If we're worried about inflation as well, then let's buy some gold just in case. But I like where this support is coming in. So I'm saying that this is a very good opportunity now to get into some gold positions if you've missed out on some opportunities in the past. What really will get gold going, though, is when we eventually get that breakout above 1790 here. And this might happen in the new year, but I mean, the way the markets are moving, maybe this happens next week. But yeah, you've seen this. Gold's just been ranging here for almost 2 trading weeks. And now we have hit my support zone, and this is basically where you want to be when you're buying. I can say the exact same thing for everything else. Everything you're going to look at now is really at these big support zones. And wow. If gold holds, all these things are going to act just like gold. So it's a good opportunity to get into all of these positions, in my opinion. This is the GDX, which is the gold miners ETF. So if you don't want to pick miners, you just want to invest in a broad basket of miners, GDX is the one that you want to invest in. And they're also at a huge support. Take a look at the bids with that wick. As you can see here, last time we bounced from this support zone was back in October. So let's hope history repeats itself and we bounce from here again. GDXJ, if you prefer something, if you prefer the juniors rather than just the miners in general, exact same chart, broader flag pattern on both of the GDX and the GDXJ, and in a support zone just like gold with that nice large wick candle. So big buying today on that Fed day. And, we sort of spoke about this privately, how Wednesday is going to be a huge day for gold. And, we're happy to be able to record this at a time when we get that support bounce. Quickly here on GMTN and all the rest. And as I said, a lot of them are going to look very similar. basically at major support zones. And in the next few days, as long as gold holds that support and works its way higher, I think a lot of these stocks are at the same support zones, meaning they're price floors and opportunities for you to enter. Gold Mountain here at $1.28 was a bit weak yesterday. I won't lie, with that red candle close, and then today's candle, it's not green, but it didn't tank. You would expect like a big fall after a breakdown like that, but I think this is more of, hey, gold is actually recovering, which means a lot of these gold stocks will get, will be leveraged to that price there. So I'm going to watch to see what Gold Mountain does, but basically this is again a major support zone, and if gold does drop a bit lower, then yeah, something like Gold Mountain and all these things will break the support levels, which would be negative, but just basing our entries here on these candles with these large wicks at support, I think it's a good zone for an entry in terms of support entries. Sabre Gold, this one looks like it's a bit more thinly traded, but it's also been holding a support zone. And, I'm just going to draw a little rectangle support area for you guys so you can sort of see that we've just been basically bouncing up and down here since mid-November. But just wait for that breakout. Ascot as well, very, very close to a major support zone. But you can see here in the past 5 trading days, people have been buying much, well above $1. I have the support zone here at $1, which I think is a highly psychological number. But you're seeing people sort of step in at around $1.05. But these zones again, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to hit it directly. It's just investors are looking at these support zones, knowing it's coming, saying, hey, you know what, if we're nearby, we might as well enter positions either a bit earlier, add a bit more when we actually touch it. So again, another nice support zone area here, and we hope we can get a nice bounce off of this area, just like we have with the other charts. And then Blue Lagoon, this is one that's actually, it's looking a bit different compared to everything else, where it's not at a support zone. It looked like it was actually going to break out. And if I do scroll back, we could sort of see, we've never been at these sort of lows for quite some time, since like 2019. So this one is more of like a bottoming play, I would say, where, okay, let's keep an eye out on this to see if we develop some sort of bottom here. Whereas everything else, Ascot, Sabre, and Gold Mountain, including, where GDX and GDXJ and gold are, they're all support zones. So basically, as a technical guy, I don't really want to, overcomplicate it. I hope I didn't overcomplicate it. But these support zones that are price floors are areas where I like to watch for some sort of price reaction. And what we're seeing right now is very positive after the high risk event, which was the Fed, and we were expecting a bit of a bounce here. And I think it's time to start adding, boys. It's time to start picking up some nice gold positions here.
Beautiful. Interesting how the charts match up. Tendencies, sector tendencies, trends. All right, Galen, we know what Gold Boy's doing, so let's start. We'll wait.
Rob, what are you going to do, man? Have we converted you into a gold bug yet?
You may have.
Okay.
I think I might have already jumped in at some point. Okay. I'm still holding it or not. I think I am. Galen, what are you doing? How much 7,500? And if you're spending it all, where's it all going?
Okay, well, here we go. This is going to be a bit surprising and a bit contrarian compared to what I just told you.
You're buying Bitcoin instead, eh? You're team Bitcoin.
I'm never doing that.
You're buying Tesla.
I'm never doing that either. Okay, so basically what I will do is the company that I'm most familiar with and comfortable with is actually Gold Mountain. I really like the story. I like what they've got. It's a high grade gold deposit. There's much more potential to it, and they're really ready to go. So I'm willing at this point in time to just let $2,000 ride on that. Now, here we go. The remaining money, $5,500. Now, here's where this gets a little strange. I've decided I would like to put and buy physical silver. Silver is highly undervalued. It's been artificially suppressed by fucking JP Morgan. It's at 80 to 1 at this point in
80 to
time,
1.
which
Crazy.
has never been before.
No.
It has a breakout that's supposed to happen. It has industrial uses that are going to skyrocket and a fungible aspect to it that's actually useful. I mean, gold is, but you'll be shaving. So, like, what the fuck? Silver, you could actually just hand over an ingot and actually have it converted into currency. So, I'm going to spend $2,000 on Gold Mountain and $5,500 on silver ingots.
Just to let you guys know, silver is also at a major support zone, just like gold. So I would give 2 thumbs up for Galen's choice there. But
What would it cost you then? Is it, if it's sold by the ounce? Like, what are you looking at here for?
It's about 24 now, isn't it?
yeah, 24, I believe, US dollars, but in Canadian dollars, like I was looking at the bullion dealers, and it's still going for around $40, like 47.
Yep.
37 to $40. So it's still like a $10 premium.
Yeah, it's a reasonable price, I think, for a highly undervalued asset. And if you take it into your home rather than buying contracts and getting screwed by JP Morgan, just get the physical, put it in your closet, and you have something you can hold on to.
So where do you buy it?
You can go to a bullion exchange. There's one here in Vancouver called the Vancouver Bullion Exchange, in fact. And you can just buy ingots. I don't suggest, I mean, Vishal does the coins. I just think the coins are a little too specific. The stamping process, for me, it hides it. The value I see in it, it doesn't come from that. It just comes from the existence of the material. So I just buy ingots.
You get nervous.
Yeah.
You don't want your stuff tarnished with imprints.
No, I don't want
Funny
pictures on it.
coins.
I just want a little thing that I can
Pictures?
just hand somebody without regretting giving it away.
You just want the stuff.
Yeah, I just
And
want
then
the
rule
stuff.
number 1, you don't tell people you're a stacker.
Yeah, don't.
Don't tell it you got it in your
That's
closet.
the reason why we have banks.
Hey, I got silver in my basement.
Yeah.
That's what happened to the guy over here. That's why he's not
Yeah,
here. Right?
exactly. He got taken out.
They cleaned him out.
Yeah.
All right, Michelle, let's go ahead. We know what you're doing.
Yep. 7,500, man. Start acquiring these positions. I concur with Galen as well. I like physical silver, but just because we're in the gold theme, I'm going to stick with gold if it was 7,500. I'm going to put that money also in.
Are you
I like the
spreading it?
gold contracts as well. So I trade CFD. So I guess for me, it's a bit different. So I would like to trade, a few contracts in gold. But yeah, Gold Mountain, I think, is my preferred just because it is closer to the near term. It is at a support zone. And then, like I said, I personally like royalty and streamers. So I'm looking at a company called Sandstorm Gold, which, we didn't really cover, but believe it or not, they're at a support zone as well. They're a royalty and streamer, but I would be putting most of my money in a royalty and streamer. And some here in Gold Mountain, and then some in CFD contracts. And I think go all in with the 7,500.
All right. Now I'm just curious, Galen.
Yes.
If you went to the bullion exchange and got $5,500 worth of silver, would
Don't
you
buy
need a
any more
cart?
than 3,000 a week, or you get tracked.
Would you need a bag, a cart? What would you?
Well,
that would be pretty.
Yeah, kind of. It would be rather heavy. So what I suggest doing is $30 a day. Just go in and buy an ingot a day. Don't go over 3,000 a week because then it's federally tracked.
If you buy the ingots, then you might need a track. But if you do buy the 1 ounce coins, it comes in like tubes. So they'll put 25 or 50 in a tube. So you can have like 10 tubes, I guess, that you'll.
But can you go over 3,000? Can you go over 3,000 in a? Because I thought that was a dollar amount that you were cut off at 3,000 a week.
No, you can spend as much. It's more about just getting that cash from the bank.
Oh, okay.
So you
Some people,
I thought the transaction was tracked from the bullion exchange.
If you do pay by credit and with debit, but maybe I'm a bit too paranoid. But what a lot of us gold silver bulls do is we take out cash from the bank and then tell them that we're using it to paint the fence or buy a Rolex watch or something, if they ask, right? And then you take the cash and then you buy your bullion. That way, there's no digital trail, right? That you have.
Does the bank? The bank's a little nosy here. They do ask, "Hey, what are you doing with the cash?"
It's starting to get that way.
Right?
Under the guise of, "Are you a terrorist?"
Yeah, like, hey, I even get the
No,
ones
no.
that say, "What are you doing this weekend?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?
Yeah,
What am I doing this weekend? What are you
exactly.
doing this weekend?"
Yeah, totally. Why don't you tell me first?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
coming over? What do you
Yeah.
got going? All right, so we got $7,500 from both of you, but 5,500 is going to silver ingots.
You
Oh
got it.
boy! All right, very interesting, lads. It's been a heck of a week, and it's a neat little thing that we're poised to. I'm curious about the Gold Mountain as well. That is Galen, and that is Vishal. I'm Rob, and we're going to see you on the next edition of the Equity Guru Roundtable. Just want to tell you that we can't guarantee any results. We have no idea how to predict the future. If we did, I'd be giving these guys the lottery numbers for this weekend.
You don't have them?
So, no, I don't have them.
Damn it!
I can tell you what the Canucks are probably going to do. Hey, do your own homework and do some research, and don't believe everything you hear, but this is a lot of good information. And of course, past performance does not guarantee future results. We'll see you on the very next Equity Guru Investor Triangle, but probably a roundtable.
Yes. Hi.